The Justice Department is pushing for the release of special counsel Jack Smith's final report on the investigation into Donald Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. According to an appeals court filing, Attorney General Merrick Garland wants permission to release Smith's report to Congress and the public. The filing says the DOJ does not yet plan to do the same for Smith's report into the Florida classified documents case, since Trump's two former co-defendants still have their cases on appeal. CBS News political reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman joins me now. Is there any way that Trump's legal team can block parts of this report from being released?
I mean, they are working on it, but the issue here is that the Justice Department is now saying they only want to release the D.C. election interference case, part of the report, and that really Trump's co-defendants or former co-defendants, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira, don't have any standing to block that. They really only have standing as it relates to the Florida classified documents case. The Department of Justice is no longer trying to release that yet. They only want to release the D.C. volume for now, although they're saying they'll make the full report available to the chairman and top members of the House and Senate Judiciary Committees.
So I want to get back to the election interference case in a second, but you said they're trying. Trump's attorneys are trying. What are they trying to do?
I mean, they're trying to block any of this from coming out. They have asked, or the report has so far been blocked by Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida, and we're waiting for the 11th Circuit to make a decision on this. But what the Department of Justice has done has made a very compelling argument that just the D.C. portion should be allowed to come out, and they'd be ready to do that, they've said, as early as Friday.
So let's ask about these two individual cases and have you kind of go one by one. Do we have a sense of when or if the public will see the election interference part of the report? And since the DOJ is not currently looking to release the report on the classified documents case, is it possible that, given that Trump is going to be inaugurated in 12 days, that his new attorney general would prevent that part of the report from ever seeing the light of day?
I mean, these are really good questions. As it comes to the D.C. election interference case, again, they're saying they would be ready to release that Friday. They're just waiting for this decision from the 11th Circuit because they don't want to be in violation of a court order that's blocking them. For the classified documents report, you know, it's possible, Lindsay, down the line that we could see a Freedom of Information Act request for this or a congressional subpoena. But as you said, the upcoming Attorney General, who's supposed to be Pam Bondi, is not going to want to release this on her own.
I have to be quick with you on this, but what is the latest in Trump fighting his sentencing on Friday in the New York criminal case?
So Trump today just leapfrogged all the way to the Supreme Court. He also did file with the New York Court of Appeals, which is the highest court here, but he wants the Supreme Court to intervene here, as they have many times for him. We know that they have often been favorable to him, but this is one where, Lindsay, they just might not want to wade in here. This is a state criminal case. The trial has been completed. There's no decision from the New York Court of Appeals yet, so hopefully we will know tomorrow what they want to do.
Okay, we'll hear from you then. Katrina Kaufman, thank you.
Thank you.
President-elect Donald Trump is in the nation's capital ahead of the funeral for Jimmy Carter, and Trump is taking advantage of his brief time in Washington before his inauguration, meeting Wednesday night with Senate Republicans on Capitol Hill. They're expected to discuss the best way to push key aspects of his agenda forward, including border policy and tax cuts. CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns joins me now from West Palm Beach, Florida. So, Caitlin, Trump spoke to reporters before walking into that meeting. Let's listen to what he said.
Couldn't feel better. We're looking at the one bill versus two bills, and whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're going to get the result, and we're going to make America great again, and we'll see you in a little while.
All right, so what is he referring to, one bill versus two bills?
Yeah, a little parliamentary action here. What he's basically referring to is that some Republicans wanted to kind of cram all of the president's agenda, or at least those top lines, into one big bill and do so through a process called reconciliation. This is a budget process where you don't actually need a full support 60-vote threshold in the Senate. You just need majority support. So this would avoid a filibuster. However, it's done through a process called budget reconciliation, which means it really should pertain to items that affect the budget. So tax cuts they could put in this one. So there was this concern about whether you could put items like immigration and other agenda items into that kind of measure. So what Trump essentially is saying there is, look, congressional leaders, you guys figure out the best way. I just want my agenda items pushed through. And yesterday, Lindsay, I asked the president during a press conference, President-elect during a press conference, can you do some of your immigration reforms that you want by executive order, or do you need Congress to be able to sign legislation? And he said that he did a lot through executive order in his first term. He plans on doing so again, so kind of alluding to how they may approach this big package. Bottom line, however, is that Trump wants agenda items passed through this Congress, trying to figure out the best way to do it, because they do, as you know, have a very slim margin in the House.
Let's talk about Senate confirmations before we let you go. They're set to begin next week, but we're already seeing Democrats push back against the start of hearings for Trump's energy and intelligence picks. They say paperwork hasn't been properly completed. How much pressure is Trump putting on Senate Republicans to get certain nominees through?
A lot of pressure is building for these Senate Republicans to confirm his pick. He said last month during a press conference that, he may be open to primary challenges for those who oppose his picks if they are doing so for political reasons, he said. So there is a lot of pressure building on these lawmakers. Remember, they do have a Senate majority coming in this new Congress. However, the margin is also slim. You can only really afford to lose 3 votes on these nominees. You have people like Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, other more moderate members who aren't feeling that kind of pressure from their constituents. So applying that pressure will be interesting.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks for watching it all for us.